Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science channel. Tonight, we'll be exploring inward into the vast and beautiful landscape of your lungs, a place filled with breath, with life, and endless wonder. Inside you are the usual rhythms, the gentle rise and fall, the quiet exchange of air, and the steady pulse we're all familiar with. But there is so much more than meets the eye. Every breath carries oxygen to trillions of cells, their energy only just beginning. A simple inhalation may sustain you for moments, yet its effects ripple through your entire body. The lungs are both ordinary and spectacular, something we experience every moment yet never cease to depend upon. If you enjoy these quiet explorations, I invite you to like and subscribe, or share a simple thought down in the comments. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is rest, settle in, and allow the calm rhythm of breathing to carry you. Let's begin. Your lungs began forming before you were born. Every breath you take today began its story long before your first moment in the world. When you were just an embryo, barely visible to the eye, tiny buds of tissue began branching outward inside your developing body. These were the earliest beginnings of your lungs. Week by week, they grew more complex, dividing and subdividing, like the branches of a tree reaching toward sunlight. By the time you were born, your lungs had practiced their future work, filled with fluid, rehearsing the motions they would need for breathing air. That first breath you took, the one that filled your chest with oxygen for the very first time, was the culmination of months of preparation. Your lungs expanded, the fluid drained away, and air rushed in. It was a moment of transformation, the shift from one world to another. Every breath since then has been built upon that foundation, a process that began before you could even know what breathing was. Your lungs carry the memory of that first expansion, the beginning of a rhythm that will continue for your entire life. You breathe about 20,000 times each day. Right now, as you rest here, your lungs are working. They expand and contract in a rhythm so constant you barely notice it. But consider this. In a single day, you breathe roughly 20,000 times. That's 20,000 cycles of air flowing in and flowing out, each one sustaining you without a single conscious thought. Over the course of a year, that number climbs into the millions. And over a lifetime, it becomes billions. Billions of breaths, each one invisible, each one essential. The remarkable thing is that most of these breaths happen automatically. Your brainstem, deep within your skull, monitors the carbon dioxide in your blood and adjusts your breathing rate accordingly. When you run, your breathing quickens. When you sleep, it slows and deepens. This ancient system has been refined over millions of years of evolution, ensuring that you never have to remember to breathe. Your lungs know what to do. They have been practicing since the moment you were born, and they will continue until your very last breath, faithful and tireless. Each lung contains about 300 million tiny air sacs. If you could shrink yourself down and journey inside your lungs, you would find yourself in a landscape unlike anything on Earth. Your lungs are not simple balloons that inflate and deflate. Instead, they are intricate networks of passages that branch smaller and smaller, ending in clusters of delicate bubbles called alveoli. These are the air sacs where the true magic of breathing occurs. Each lung contains roughly 300 million of these alveoli, and each one is wrapped in a mesh of blood vessels, so fine they are barely thicker than a single cell. The total surface area of all these alveoli combined is staggering. If you could unfold them and lay them flat, they would cover an area roughly the size of a tennis court. All of this surface area is packed inside your chest, folded and compressed into a space smaller than a loaf of bread. This vast interior landscape, allows your lungs to perform their work efficiently, exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide with every breath. The more surface area, the more gas can be exchanged, and the better your body can function. Your lungs are not just organs, they are entire worlds contained within you. Oxygen crosses into your blood in less than a second. When you breathe in, air travels down your windpipe and into the branching passages of your lungs, eventually reaching the alveoli. There, the air pauses, held in those tiny sacs, for just a moment. But in that fleeting instant, something extraordinary happens. Oxygen molecules slip through the thin walls of the alveoli and into the blood vessels that surround them. This process, called diffusion, happens so quickly it's almost impossible to comprehend. In less than a single second, oxygen crosses from the air into your bloodstream, ready to be carried throughout your body. At the same time, carbon dioxide, a waste product produced by your cells, makes the reverse journey. It diffuses from your blood into the alveoli, where it will be expelled with your next exhale. This exchange happens continuously, breath after breath, without you ever having to think about it. The walls of your alveoli are so thin that they allow gases to pass through easily, yet they are strong enough to withstand the constant stretching and relaxing that comes with every breath. This delicate balance of structure and function is one of the most elegant designs in all of biology. Your left lung is slightly smaller than your right. If you were to look at a diagram of your lungs, you might notice something curious. Your right lung is divided into 3 sections, called lobes, while your left lung has only 2. This asymmetry exists for a simple reason: your heart. Your heart sits slightly to the left side of your chest, nestled between your lungs, and it needs space to beat. To accommodate this tireless organ, your left lung is a bit smaller, with a concave notch carved out of it called the cardiac notch. Despite being smaller, your left lung is just as vital as the right. Together, they work in perfect harmony, expanding and contracting in rhythm with each other. The difference in size is a reminder that your body is not a collection of isolated parts, but a carefully integrated system. Every organ has its place, and every shape serves a purpose. Your lungs and heart are neighbors, sharing the space inside your chest, supporting each other in the work of keeping you alive. When you breathe deeply and feel your chest rise, you are feeling the collaboration of these 2 incredible organs. The air you breathe has traveled the world. Every breath you take is filled with molecules that have journeyed across the planet. The oxygen entering your lungs right now may have been released by a tree in a distant rainforest, or by algae drifting in the open ocean. It may have been exhaled by another person on the other side of the world just hours ago. The atmosphere is a shared resource, constantly mixing and circulating, carrying air from one place to another on the currents of wind and weather. This means that the breath you take tonight connects you to every living thing on Earth. The same air that fills your lungs has filled the lungs of countless others, human and animal alike, across time and space. It has swirled through forests and deserts, over mountains and oceans, picking up moisture and carrying it as clouds before releasing it as rain. The atmosphere is ancient, billions of years old, and yet it is constantly renewed by the plants and organisms that produce oxygen. When you breathe in, you are participating in a cycle that has sustained life on this planet for eons. Plants produce the oxygen you breathe through photosynthesis. The oxygen in the air, the oxygen your lungs depend on, comes primarily from plants. Through a process called photosynthesis, plants capture sunlight and use its energy to convert carbon dioxide and water into sugar and oxygen. The sugar fuels the plant's growth, while the oxygen is released into the atmosphere as a byproduct. This process has been happening for billions of years, ever since the first photosynthetic organisms appeared in Earth's ancient oceans. Those early organisms, simple cyanobacteria, transformed the planet. Before they evolved, Earth's atmosphere contained almost no oxygen. Over millions of years, as these bacteria proliferated, they filled the air with oxygen, making it possible for complex life to evolve. Every animal that breathes, from the smallest insect to the largest whale, owes its existence to this transformation. Today, forests, grasslands, and ocean algae continue the work, producing the oxygen that fills your lungs with every breath. When you inhale, you are breathing in the gift of photosynthesis, the quiet generosity of plants converting sunlight into life. Your lungs filter out dust and particles with every breath. The air around you is not as clean as it might seem. It carries dust, pollen, tiny particles of pollution, and microscopic organisms, all floating invisibly. Yet your lungs manage to extract the oxygen you need, while protecting you from most of these intruders. This is thanks to a sophisticated defense system built into your respiratory tract. The passages leading to your lungs are lined with a layer of sticky mucus and tiny hair-like structures called cilia. These cilia wave back and forth in coordinated rhythm, like a field of wheat bending in the wind. As you breathe, particles in the air get trapped in the mucus. The cilia then sweep this mucus upward, away from your lungs, moving it toward your throat, where it can be swallowed or coughed out. This process happens constantly, clearing your airways of debris without you ever noticing. It's a tireless cleaning system, working every moment of every day to keep your lungs clear and healthy. The larger particles are caught higher up in your nose and throat, while only the smallest, cleanest air reaches the delicate alveoli deep inside your lungs. Your body knows how to protect what matters most. The diaphragm does most of the work when you breathe. When you think of breathing, you might picture your lungs expanding and contracting like balloons. But the truth is, your lungs themselves don't have muscles. They rely on other structures to move. The most important of these is the diaphragm, a large, dome-shaped muscle that sits beneath your lungs, separating your chest from your abdomen. When you inhale, your diaphragm contracts and flattens, pulling downward. This creates more space in your chest cavity, causing air to rush into your lungs to fill the void. When you exhale, your diaphragm relaxes and returns to its dome shape, gently pushing air out of your lungs. This movement happens automatically, controlled by signals from your brain. But you can also take control of it consciously, breathing more deeply or more slowly if you choose. The diaphragm is one of the hardest working muscles in your body, contracting and relaxing tens of thousands of times each day without ever tiring. It is a quiet marvel, a muscle you rarely think about, yet one that is absolutely essential to your survival. Deep breathing can calm your nervous system. There is something profoundly soothing about taking a slow, deep breath. When you inhale deeply, filling your lungs completely, and then exhale slowly, something shifts inside you. Your heart rate slows. Your blood pressure drops slightly. The tension in your muscles begins to ease. This is not just a feeling. It is a measurable physiological response, triggered by the way deep breathing affects your nervous system. Your body has two modes: the stress response, which prepares you for action, and the relaxation response, which helps you rest and recover. Shallow, rapid breathing activates the stress response, signaling to your brain that something urgent is happening. But deep, slow breathing does the opposite. It activates the vagus nerve, a major nerve that runs from your brain to your abdomen and signals to your body that it is safe to relax. This is why deep breathing is recommended for managing anxiety, reducing stress, and promoting sleep. It is a simple tool, available to you at any moment, that can shift your entire state of being. Your breath is a bridge between your conscious mind and your automatic body, and learning to use it is learning to calm yourself from the inside out. You can hold your breath for minutes with training. Most people can hold their breath for about 30 seconds to a minute before the urge to breathe becomes overwhelming. But with training, some people can extend this to several minutes, and a few elite breath-hold divers have managed to hold their breath for over 10 minutes. This extraordinary ability comes not just from strong lungs, but from training the body and mind to tolerate rising levels of carbon dioxide in the blood. When you hold your breath, oxygen levels in your blood drop, but it is the buildup of carbon dioxide that creates the desperate urge to breathe. By gradually training the body to become more tolerant of this sensation, and by learning to stay calm and relaxed, divers can extend their breath hold times far beyond what seems possible. Before attempting a deep dive, they take slow, deliberate breaths to saturate their blood with oxygen and lower their heart rate. Then, in the water, they descend into stillness, their bodies conserving every molecule of oxygen. This practice is a meditation, a conversation between mind and body, and a testament to the hidden capacities of your respiratory system. Your lungs can expel air at speeds over 100 miles per hour. A cough might seem like a simple reflex, a mild annoyance when you're sick, but it is actually one of the most powerful actions your body can perform. When you cough, your lungs compress rapidly, and air is forced out through your airways at incredible speed. The velocity can exceed 100 miles per hour, fast enough to send droplets and particles flying several feet through the air. This explosive burst of air is your body's way of clearing irritants, mucus, or foreign objects from your respiratory tract. The mechanics of a cough are surprisingly complex. First, you take a deep breath in. Then, your vocal cords close tightly, trapping air in your lungs. Next, your chest and abdominal muscles contract, building up pressure. Finally, your vocal cords snap open, and the air bursts out in a violent rush. This sequence happens in less than a second, coordinated by reflexes in your brainstem. A cough can be voluntary, something you do on purpose, or involuntary, triggered automatically by irritation. Either way, it is a reminder of the remarkable forces your body can generate when it needs to protect itself. A yawn brings in extra oxygen and cools your brain. Yawning is one of those universal human experiences that everyone recognizes, yet its purpose remains somewhat mysterious. The traditional explanation is that yawning increases oxygen intake, but recent research suggests it may serve another function, cooling the brain. When you yawn, you take a deep breath, stretching your jaw wide and pulling in a large volume of air. This air flows over the blood vessels in your head and neck, slightly cooling the blood before it reaches your brain. Your brain is a metabolic furnace, constantly generating heat as it processes information. Cooling it down may help it function more efficiently, especially when you're tired or bored. Yawning is also contagious, a curious phenomenon that scientists believe may be linked to empathy and social bonding. Seeing someone yawn, or even reading about it, can trigger the same response in you. Right now, you might feel the urge to yawn. If you do, let it happen. Stretch your jaw, breathe deeply, and enjoy the sensation. It is your body's way of refreshing itself, bringing in cool air and preparing for rest. Singing and speaking depend on your breath control. Every word you speak, every note you sing, is shaped by the flow of air from your lungs. When you want to talk, your brain sends signals to your diaphragm and other muscles, controlling how much air you release. That air travels up through your windpipe and passes through your vocal cords, two bands of tissue stretched across your larynx. As air flows past them, they vibrate, producing sound. The pitch and tone of your voice depend on how tightly your vocal cords are stretched and how quickly they vibrate. Singers train for years to master breath control, learning to release air slowly and steadily so they can hold notes for long phrases without running out of breath. Actors and public speakers do the same, using their breath to project their voices and convey emotion. Even in casual conversation, you unconsciously regulate your breathing to match the rhythm of your speech, pausing between sentences to inhale. Your breath is the foundation of communication, the invisible force that carries your thoughts and feelings into the world. Without it, words would remain trapped inside you, silent and unshared. Laughter is a rhythmic release of breath. Laughter is one of the most joyful experiences in life, and it is intimately connected to your breathing. When you laugh, your diaphragm contracts repeatedly in quick, rhythmic bursts, forcing air out of your lungs in short, sharp exhalations. This creates the characteristic ha 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 sound of laughter. Your vocal cords vibrate irregularly, and your chest and abdominal muscles tense and relax rapidly. It is a full-body experience, one that can leave you breathless and gasping for air if the laughter goes on long enough. Laughter also triggers the release of endorphins, your body's natural feel-good chemicals, and reduces levels of stress hormones like cortisol. This is why laughter feels so good, and why it is often said that laughter is the best medicine. When you laugh deeply, you are giving your lungs a workout, forcing them to expel stale air and draw in fresh oxygen. It is a cleansing breath, one that leaves you feeling lighter and more alive. Even now, thinking of laughter might bring a smile to your face, a gentle reminder of the joy that breathing can bring. Your lungs help regulate the pH of your blood. Your lungs do more than just bring in oxygen and expel carbon dioxide. They also play a crucial role in maintaining the delicate chemical balance of your blood. The pH of your blood, a measure of its acidity, must stay within a very narrow range for your body to function properly. If it becomes too acidic or too alkaline, your cells cannot work efficiently, and serious health problems can arise. One of the key ways your body regulates blood pH is through breathing. When carbon dioxide dissolves in your blood, it forms carbonic acid, which makes your blood more acidic. If your blood becomes too acidic, your brain signals your lungs to breathe faster, expelling more carbon dioxide and bringing the pH back into balance. Conversely, if your blood becomes too alkaline, your breathing slows down, allowing carbon dioxide to build up. This elegant feedback system operates continuously, adjusting your breathing rate based on the chemical composition of your blood. You never have to think about it. Your lungs and brain communicate in a silent dialogue, ensuring that the chemistry of your body remains stable. High altitudes challenge your lungs to work harder. If you have ever traveled to a high mountain or a plateau far above sea level, you may have noticed something strange. Breathing becomes more difficult. At high altitudes, the air pressure is lower, which means there are fewer oxygen molecules in each breath you take. Your lungs have to work harder to extract the oxygen your body needs. At first, you might feel short of breath, dizzy, or fatigued. This is your body signaling that it is not getting enough oxygen. But if you stay at high altitude for several days or weeks, something remarkable happens. Your body begins to adapt. Your breathing rate increases, and your body produces more red blood cells, the cells that carry oxygen through your bloodstream. Over time, you become more efficient at capturing and using the available oxygen. People who live at high altitudes their entire lives, such as those in the Andes or the Himalayas, have even more profound adaptations. Their lungs are larger, and their blood chemistry is different, allowing them to thrive in conditions that would leave others gasping. It is a testament to the incredible adaptability of the human body. Athletes train their lungs for peak performance. Athletes who compete in endurance sports, like running, cycling, or swimming, know that their performance depends not just on strong muscles, but on strong lungs. During intense exercise, your muscles need far more oxygen than usual, and your lungs must work harder to supply it. Elite athletes train their respiratory systems just as rigorously as they train their legs or arms. They practice breathing techniques, strengthen their diaphragm, and increase their lung capacity through targeted exercises. One common method is interval training, where athletes alternate between periods of intense effort and recovery. This pushes their lungs to adapt, becoming more efficient at delivering oxygen. Some athletes even train at high altitudes to force their bodies to produce more red blood cells. When they return to lower altitudes, their enhanced oxygen-carrying capacity gives them a competitive edge. The result is a body that can sustain high levels of effort for longer periods without tiring. Your lungs, like any other part of your body, can be trained and strengthened, becoming more capable with practice. Premature babies sometimes need help to breathe. For babies born too early, before their lungs have fully developed, breathing can be a struggle. In the womb, a fetus does not breathe air. Instead, oxygen is delivered directly through the umbilical cord. The lungs are filled with fluid and are not yet ready to function. In the final weeks of pregnancy, the lungs mature rapidly, producing a substance called surfactant that keeps the tiny air sacs from collapsing. But if a baby is born prematurely, their lungs may not yet produce enough surfactant, and breathing becomes difficult. Modern medicine has made remarkable advances in helping premature babies. Doctors can administer artificial surfactant directly into the baby's lungs, and machines can assist with breathing until the lungs are strong enough to work on their own. It is a delicate process, but it has saved countless lives. Each breath a premature baby takes is a small victory, a step toward strength and independence. These tiny fighters remind us how essential the lungs are and how much we depend on them from the very first moments of life. Asthma tightens the airways and makes breathing difficult. For millions of people around the world, breathing is not always easy. Asthma is a chronic condition in which the airways become inflamed and narrowed, making it hard to move air in and out of the lungs. During an asthma attack, the muscles around the airways tighten, the lining of the airways swells, and extra mucus is produced. The result is wheezing, coughing, and a feeling of tightness in the chest. For those experiencing it, it can be frightening and exhausting. Asthma can be triggered by many things: allergens like pollen or dust, cold air, exercise, or even stress. But with proper management, including medications that relax the airways and reduce inflammation, most people with asthma can live full, active lives. Inhalers deliver medicine directly to the lungs, providing quick relief when symptoms flare up. Understanding asthma is a reminder of how delicate the balance of breathing can be and how much we depend on clear, open airways. For those who take easy breathing for granted, it is worth pausing to appreciate the gift of air flowing smoothly in and out. Pneumonia is an infection that fills the lungs with fluid. Normally, your lungs are filled with air, but when an infection like pneumonia takes hold, fluid and pus can accumulate in the alveoli, the tiny air sacs where oxygen is exchanged. This makes it difficult for oxygen to pass into the bloodstream, leaving you feeling short of breath and fatigued. Pneumonia can be caused by bacteria, viruses, or fungi, and it ranges from mild to life-threatening. The body fights back by sending white blood cells to the lungs to battle the infection, but this immune response also contributes to inflammation and fluid buildup. Treatment usually involves antibiotics or antiviral medications, rest, and plenty of fluids. In severe cases, hospitalization may be necessary, and patients may need supplemental oxygen to help them breathe. Pneumonia is a reminder that the lungs, despite their strength, are vulnerable to infection. They are exposed to the outside world with every breath, and sometimes harmful invaders slip past the body's defenses. But with care and treatment, most people recover fully, their lungs clearing and returning to their vital work. Tuberculosis once ravaged populations worldwide. There was a time when tuberculosis, or TB, was one of the most feared diseases in the world. This bacterial infection primarily attacks the lungs, causing persistent coughing, chest pain, and difficulty breathing. Before the development of antibiotics, TB was often a death sentence. It spread easily through the air, and entire communities could be affected. Sanatoriums were built in the mountains, where the fresh air was thought to aid recovery, and patients spent months or even years trying to heal. The discovery of antibiotics in the mid-20th century transformed TB from a common killer into a treatable disease. Today, with proper medication, most people with TB can be cured. However, TB has not been eradicated. It still affects millions of people, particularly in areas with limited access to healthcare, and drug-resistant strains have emerged as a new challenge. The history of tuberculosis is a reminder of the importance of respiratory health and the ongoing need for medical research. Your lungs, though resilient, must be protected and cared for. Emphysema destroys the walls of the alveoli. Emphysema is a disease that slowly robs the lungs of their ability to function. It is most commonly caused by smoking, though long-term exposure to air pollution or chemical fumes can also contribute. In emphysema, the walls between the alveoli, those tiny air sacs where gas exchange occurs, break down and merge into larger, less efficient spaces. The total surface area available for oxygen exchange decreases, and breathing becomes increasingly difficult. People with emphysema often feel short of breath, even during simple activities like walking or climbing stairs. There is no cure, but treatments can help manage symptoms and slow the progression of the disease. Quitting smoking is the most important step, as continued smoking accelerates the damage. Emphysema is a sobering reminder of how fragile the intricate structure of the lungs can be. Once the alveoli are destroyed, they do not grow back. This makes prevention all the more important. Protecting your lungs from harm is protecting your ability to breathe freely for the rest of your life. Smoking damages nearly every part of your lungs. Tobacco smoke contains thousands of chemicals, many of which are toxic to the delicate tissues of your lungs. When you inhale cigarette smoke, these chemicals irritate and inflame the airways, kill the cilia that help clean your lungs, and break down the walls of the alveoli. Over time, smoking leads to chronic bronchitis, emphysema, and an increased risk of lung cancer. It also weakens your immune system, making it harder for your body to fight off infections. The damage from smoking accumulates over years, but the good news is that quitting at any age brings immediate and long-term benefits. Within hours of quitting, your heart rate and blood pressure begin to drop. Within weeks, your cilia start to regrow, and your lungs begin to clear out mucus and debris more effectively. Within months, your risk of infection decreases, and your breathing becomes easier. The lungs have a remarkable ability to heal, but only if you give them the chance. Choosing not to smoke, or choosing to quit, is one of the best gifts you can give to your respiratory system. Air pollution can harm your lungs even when you cannot see it. You might think of air pollution as something visible, like smog hanging over a city. But many pollutants are invisible, tiny particles and gases that you breathe in without knowing. These include fine particulate matter, ozone, nitrogen dioxide, and sulfur dioxide, all of which can irritate your lungs and worsen respiratory conditions like asthma. Long-term exposure to air pollution has been linked to chronic lung diseases and even lung cancer. Children and older adults are especially vulnerable, as are people with existing respiratory conditions. On days when air quality is poor, it is wise to limit outdoor activities, especially strenuous exercise. Air purifiers can help indoors, and wearing masks can reduce exposure in heavily polluted areas. While individuals can take steps to protect themselves, addressing air pollution also requires collective action. Cleaner energy sources, stricter emissions standards, and a commitment to protecting the environment. Your lungs depend not just on your personal choices, but on the quality of the air we all share. Your lungs can heal and regenerate after injury. Despite the damage that can be done to the lungs, they possess a remarkable ability to heal. The cells lining your airways can regenerate, replacing damaged tissue with healthy cells. Even after years of smoking or exposure to pollutants, quitting and adopting healthier habits can allow your lungs to recover significantly. Inflammation decreases, mucus production normalizes, and breathing becomes easier. This regeneration is not unlimited. Severe damage, like that caused by emphysema, is permanent because the alveoli cannot grow back. But for many types of injury, the lungs can and do heal. This is why doctors emphasize prevention and early intervention. Catching problems early, whether it's an infection, chronic inflammation, or exposure to toxins, gives your lungs the best chance to recover. Your body wants to heal. It is built to repair itself. Sometimes, all it needs is time, care, and the removal of whatever was causing harm in the first place. The common cold affects your respiratory tract. The common cold is one of the most frequent illnesses worldwide, and it primarily targets your respiratory system. Caused by viruses, most often rhinoviruses, a cold leads to inflammation of the lining of your nose, throat, and sometimes your lungs. This causes the familiar symptoms: a runny or stuffy nose, sore throat, coughing, and sneezing. While usually mild, a cold can make breathing feel uncomfortable, especially at night when mucus drains down your throat. Your body fights the infection with its immune system, sending white blood cells to the affected areas. This is why you may feel tired and achy. The good news is that most colds resolve on their own within a week or two. Rest, fluids, and time are the best remedies. Your lungs and airways are resilient, and once the virus is cleared, they return to their normal function. The common cold is a reminder that your respiratory system is constantly defending you, and most of the time, it wins. Influenza can be serious for the lungs. Influenza, or the flu, is more than just a bad cold. It is a viral infection that can affect the lungs more deeply, sometimes leading to complications like pneumonia. Flu symptoms often come on suddenly and include fever, chills, body aches, and a dry cough. For healthy individuals, the flu is usually manageable with rest and fluids. But for young children, the elderly, and those with chronic health conditions, it can be dangerous. The flu virus spreads easily through droplets in the air when someone coughs or sneezes. This is why annual flu vaccines are recommended. They help your immune system recognize and fight the virus before it can take hold. If you do catch the flu, antiviral medications can help reduce the severity and duration of symptoms if taken early. Taking care of your lungs during flu season means taking precautions, washing your hands frequently, avoiding close contact with sick individuals, and getting vaccinated. Your lungs depend on you to protect them from threats that spread through the air. COVID-19 taught the world about respiratory health. The COVID-19 pandemic brought global attention to the importance of respiratory health. The virus, SARS-CoV-2, primarily attacks the respiratory system, causing symptoms that range from mild like a cough and shortness of breath, to severe, including pneumonia and acute respiratory distress syndrome. For many, it was a stark reminder of how vital healthy lungs are and how quickly respiratory function can be compromised. The pandemic also highlighted the role of preventive measures. Masks, ventilation, and vaccines all became tools to protect the lungs. Scientists worked tirelessly to understand how the virus affected the respiratory system and how to treat it. Hospitals developed new protocols for supporting patients whose lungs were struggling to provide enough oxygen. The lessons learned during the pandemic have deepened our understanding of respiratory diseases and underscored the need to care for our lungs. Even now, as the world moves forward, the memory of those difficult times serves as a reminder to never take the simple act of breathing for granted. Your breath carries a unique signature. Every time you exhale, you release not just carbon dioxide, but also a complex mixture of other gases and compounds. Scientists have discovered that the composition of your breath can reveal information about your health. Certain diseases produce specific chemicals that can be detected in the breath, offering a non-invasive way to diagnose conditions like diabetes, kidney disease, and even some cancers. Researchers are developing breath analysis devices that can identify these markers quickly and accurately. This technology is still in its early stages, but it holds great promise for the future of medicine. Your breath is a window into your body, carrying clues about what is happening inside. It is a reminder that breathing is not just about taking in oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide. It is a dynamic process that reflects the state of your entire body, a living signature that changes from moment to moment. Breathing techniques have been practiced for thousands of years. Long before modern medicine, ancient cultures understood the power of the breath. In India, the practice of pranayama, or breath control, has been a central part of yoga for thousands of years. Practitioners believe that controlling the breath can influence the mind, body, and spirit, promoting health and inner peace. Similar practices exist in Chinese traditions like Qigong, where breath is coordinated with movement to cultivate life energy, or qi. These techniques are not just spiritual. Modern science has shown that controlled breathing can have measurable effects on the body. Slow, deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting relaxation and reducing stress. Fast, rhythmic breathing can energize and invigorate. Holding the breath and then releasing it can reset your nervous system and sharpen your focus. The ancient wisdom of breathwork is now supported by contemporary research, showing that the breath is a powerful tool for self-regulation and healing. Your ancestors knew this instinctively, and you can tap into that knowledge whenever you choose. Breathing through your nose filters and warms the air. When you breathe through your nose, the air goes through a sophisticated preparation process before it ever reaches your lungs. The inside of your nose is lined with tiny hairs and mucus that trap dust, pollen, and other particles, filtering them out of the air. The nasal passages are also rich with blood vessels that warm the air to body temperature, ensuring that cold air doesn't shock your delicate lung tissue. This warming and filtering system is so effective that by the time air reaches your lungs, it is clean, moist, and perfectly conditioned. Breathing through your mouth bypasses most of these protective mechanisms. The air enters cooler and less filtered, which can dry out your throat and airways. This is why doctors often recommend nasal breathing, especially during sleep. Your nose is designed to be the primary entrance for air, a gateway that prepares each breath for the journey ahead. When you breathe slowly and deeply through your nose, you are allowing your body to do what it does best: protect and nourish itself with every inhalation. The sense of smell depends on air flowing through your nose. Your ability to smell the world around you is intimately connected to your breathing. At the top of your nasal cavity, there is a small patch of tissue called the olfactory epithelium, packed with millions of receptor cells. When you breathe in, air carrying odor molecules flows past this tissue. The molecules bind to receptors, triggering signals that travel to your brain, where they are interpreted as smells. This process happens in a fraction of a second, allowing you to detect everything from the scent of fresh bread to the warning smell of smoke. Smell is one of your most ancient senses, deeply connected to memory and emotion. A particular scent can transport you back to a moment in your childhood or evoke a strong feeling of comfort or unease. This is because the olfactory system has direct connections to the parts of your brain that process emotion and memory. Every breath you take is not just about sustaining life. It is also about experiencing the world, gathering information about your environment, and connecting to your past. Your lungs and your nose work together, bringing in not just oxygen, but the richness of sensory experience. Hiccups are involuntary contractions of your diaphragm. Hiccups are one of those strange, annoying quirks of the body that almost everyone has experienced. They occur when your diaphragm, the muscle responsible for breathing, suddenly contracts involuntarily. This rapid contraction pulls air into your lungs quickly, but a split second later, your vocal cords snap shut, creating the characteristic hic sound. The exact cause of hiccups is not always clear, but they can be triggered by eating too quickly, drinking carbonated beverages, sudden changes in temperature, or even excitement. Most hiccups last only a few minutes and resolve on their own. There are countless folk remedies for stopping them, from holding your breath to drinking water upside down. And while many of these lack scientific backing, some may work by resetting the nerve signals that control the diaphragm. Persistent hiccups lasting days or weeks are rare, but can indicate an underlying medical issue. For the most part, hiccups are simply a harmless reminder of the complex coordination required for breathing. Even your diaphragm, so reliable and tireless, occasionally hiccups in its rhythm. Breath holding helps marine mammals dive to great depths. Whales, dolphins, and seals are mammals just like you, and they breathe air through their lungs. But they have evolved extraordinary adaptations that allow them to hold their breath for extended periods while diving to great depths. Some whales can hold their breath for over an hour, descending thousands of feet beneath the ocean surface. To accomplish this, their bodies undergo remarkable changes. Their heart rate slows dramatically, and blood flow is redirected away from non-essential organs to conserve oxygen for the brain and heart. Before diving, these animals take several deep breaths, filling their lungs and bloodstream with oxygen. Their muscles contain high concentrations of myoglobin, a protein that stores oxygen, giving them an extra reserve to draw upon. When they resurface, they exhale forcefully through their blowholes, releasing stale air in a dramatic spray, and then quickly replenish their oxygen supply. These marine mammals are a testament to the incredible versatility of the respiratory system. Though your lungs are adapted for breathing air continuously, they share a common design with creatures that have mastered the art of holding their breath in the ocean's depths. Birds have a unique respiratory system unlike any other. Birds are some of the most efficient breathers in the animal kingdom, thanks to a respiratory system that is fundamentally different from yours. While your lungs expand and contract with each breath, birds have rigid lungs that do not change size. Instead, they have a series of air sacs throughout their bodies that act like bellows, moving air through the lungs in one direction. This means that fresh air is constantly flowing over the gas exchange surfaces, both when the bird inhales and when it exhales. This system allows birds to extract far more oxygen from each breath than mammals can, which is essential for the enormous energy demands of flight. Some birds, like bar-headed geese, migrate over the Himalayas, flying at altitudes where the oxygen is so thin that most mammals would lose consciousness. Yet these birds thrive, their efficient respiratory systems providing the oxygen they need to power their flight. The diversity of respiratory strategies in the animal kingdom is a reminder that evolution has found many solutions to the same problem: how to bring oxygen into the body and expel carbon dioxide efficiently. Insects breathe through tiny holes in their exoskeletons. Insects do not have lungs at all. Instead, they breathe through a network of tiny tubes called tracheae that open to the outside through small holes called spiracles. Air flows directly through these tubes to the insect's tissues, delivering oxygen without the need for blood to carry it. This system is incredibly efficient for small creatures, allowing them to meet their oxygen needs without the complexity of lungs or a circulatory system dedicated to gas transport. However, this system also limits how large insects can grow. The farther oxygen has to travel through the tracheae, the less efficient the system becomes. This is why insects today are relatively small compared to some of their ancient ancestors. Millions of years ago, when Earth's atmosphere contained more oxygen, insects could grow much larger because their tracheal systems were more efficient. Today's insects are smaller, but their simple, elegant breathing system is perfectly suited to their size and lifestyle. It is a different solution to the same challenge: bringing oxygen to every cell in the body. Your lungs are home to a community of microbes. You might think of your lungs as a sterile environment, protected from the outside world, but in reality, they are home to a diverse community of microorganisms, including bacteria, viruses, and fungi. This community, known as the lung microbiome, is much less dense than the microbiome in your gut, but it is still important for your health. Most of these microbes are harmless or even beneficial, helping to train your immune system and prevent harmful pathogens from taking hold. The balance of this microbial community can be disrupted by factors like antibiotic use, smoking, or respiratory infections. When the balance shifts, it can contribute to chronic lung diseases. Researchers are only beginning to understand the complex interactions between the lung microbiome and human health, but it is clear that these tiny inhabitants play a role in keeping your lungs healthy. Your body is not a solitary entity. It is an ecosystem, a complex web of interactions between your own cells and the countless microbes that live within you. Even your breath is shaped by this invisible community. The capacity of your lungs changes throughout your life. When you were born, your lungs were small and still developing. As you grew, they grew with you, increasing in size and capacity. By the time you reached adulthood, your lungs had achieved their maximum volume, capable of holding several liters of air. But lung capacity does not remain constant throughout life. Starting in your mid-20s, lung function begins a gradual decline, a natural part of aging. The tissues become slightly less elastic, and the muscles involved in breathing may weaken. This decline is slow and usually does not cause problems for healthy individuals. However, factors like smoking, lack of exercise, and chronic respiratory diseases can accelerate the process. The good news is that staying active, maintaining a healthy weight, and avoiding smoking can help preserve lung function well into old age. Exercise, in particular, keeps the respiratory muscles strong and the lungs flexible. Even in later life, your lungs remain remarkably capable, adapting to your needs and continuing their tireless work. Taking care of them now ensures they will serve you well for decades to come. Laughter yoga combines breathing with joyful exercise. Laughter yoga is a practice that combines intentional laughter with yogic breathing exercises. It was developed in the 1990 seconds by a physician in India and has since spread around the world. Participants engage in playful exercises that induce laughter, whether or not they initially find anything funny. The act of laughing, even when forced, triggers genuine physiological responses, the release of endorphins, a reduction in stress hormones, and increased oxygen intake. The breathing component of laughter yoga involves deep inhalations and prolonged exhalations, similar to traditional pranayama. This combination of laughter and controlled breathing oxygenates the body, relaxes the muscles, and creates a sense of well-being. Studies have shown that laughter yoga can reduce anxiety, improve mood, and even boost immune function. It is a reminder that your breath is not just a biological necessity. It is also a tool for joy, connection, and healing. When you laugh freely and breathe deeply, you are engaging in an ancient form of self-care, one that your body and mind both crave. Breath is central to meditation practices worldwide. In nearly every meditation tradition, the breath serves as an anchor, a point of focus that brings the mind into the present moment. In Buddhist meditation, practitioners often focus on the sensation of air entering and leaving the nostrils, observing each breath without trying to control it. In mindfulness practices, the breath is used as a way to return attention when the mind wanders. The simple act of watching your breath, noticing its rhythm and depth, can quiet the mental chatter and bring a sense of peace. This focus on breath is not arbitrary. The breath is one of the few bodily functions that operates both automatically and voluntarily. You breathe without thinking, but you can also take control of your breath at any moment. This makes it a perfect bridge between the conscious and unconscious mind, a tool for self-awareness and inner calm. When you sit quietly and turn your attention to your breathing, you are practicing a form of meditation that has been used for thousands of years. It is simple, accessible, and profoundly effective. Your breath is always with you, a constant companion waiting to guide you back to stillness. Breath counts are used to measure respiratory health. Doctors and researchers use various measurements to assess how well your lungs are functioning. One common test is spirometry, which measures how much air you can inhale and exhale, and how quickly you can do it. Another simple measure is your respiratory rate, the number of breaths you take per minute. For a resting adult, this is typically between 12 and 20 breaths per minute. Changes in respiratory rate can indicate stress, illness, or other health issues. Peak flow meters measure how forcefully you can exhale, which is particularly useful for monitoring asthma. Lower peak flow readings can signal that the airways are narrowing, alerting you to take action before symptoms worsen. These measurements are not just numbers on a chart. They are snapshots of your respiratory health, providing valuable information that can guide treatment and prevention. Paying attention to your breathing, even in simple ways, like noticing if you feel short of breath or if your breathing pattern changes, is an important part of taking care of yourself. Your lungs communicate with you constantly. Learning to listen is the first step toward keeping them healthy. Breathwork is becoming popular in wellness communities. In recent years, breathwork has gained popularity as a tool for mental and physical wellness. Breathwork refers to a variety of techniques that involve conscious control of breathing patterns to achieve specific effects. Some methods, like box breathing or 4-7-8 breathing, are designed to calm the nervous system and reduce anxiety. Others, like Wim Hof's breathing method or holotropic breathwork, involve rapid, deep breathing that can create altered states of consciousness and release emotional blockages. Practitioners report benefits ranging from reduced stress and improved sleep to heightened energy and emotional release. While some of these claims are still being studied, there is growing scientific evidence that controlled breathing can influence the autonomic nervous system, regulate stress hormones, and improve overall well-being. Breathwork workshops and classes are now widely available, offering people a drug-free, accessible way to explore their inner landscape. Your breath is a powerful tool, one that you carry with you everywhere. Learning to use it intentionally can transform not just your breathing, but your entire state of being. The vagus nerve connects your breath to your emotions. Deep within your body runs the vagus nerve, the longest nerve of the autonomic nervous system. It stretches from your brainstem down through your chest and into your abdomen, connecting your brain to your heart, lungs, and digestive organs. The vagus nerve plays a crucial role in the relaxation response, and it can be activated through slow, deep breathing. When you take a long, slow exhale, receptors in your lungs send signals up the vagus nerve to your brain, signaling that it is safe to relax. This is why deep breathing is so effective at calming anxiety and reducing stress. It is not just a psychological trick. It is a physiological pathway, a direct line of communication between your breath and your nervous system. Practices that stimulate the vagus nerve, including deep breathing, singing, and even cold exposure, are sometimes called vagal toning because they strengthen this connection. By learning to breathe in ways that activate the vagus nerve, you gain a powerful tool for regulating your emotions and finding calm in moments of stress. Your breath is not separate from your emotions. It is interwoven with them, a bridge between mind and body. Breath is a metaphor in language and culture. The breath has been a powerful symbol in human culture for as long as language has existed. In many languages, the word for breath is closely related to the word for spirit or soul. In Latin, spiritus means both breath and spirit. In Hebrew, ruach means breath, wind, and spirit. In Sanskrit, prana refers to both breath and life force. This linguistic connection reflects a deep understanding that breath is more than just a biological function. It is the essence of life itself. Across cultures, breath has been used as a metaphor for existence, inspiration, and vitality. To take a breath is to pause and reflect. To catch your breath is to recover from exertion or surprise. To breathe life into something is to invigorate and renew it. These phrases reveal how central breath is to our experience of being alive. When you pay attention to your breath, you are connecting to something ancient and universal, a rhythm that has sustained humanity since the beginning. Your breath is both ordinary and profound, a simple act that carries the weight of existence. Holding your breath can trigger the mammalian dive reflex. There is a reflex built into your body, shared by all mammals, that activates when your face is submerged in cold water and you hold your breath. This is called the mammalian dive reflex. When it triggers, your heart rate slows, blood vessels constrict in your extremities, and blood is redirected to your vital organs, especially your brain and heart. This reflex helps conserve oxygen, allowing you to stay underwater longer. Freedivers use this reflex to their advantage, training their bodies to enhance the response. Before a deep dive, they relax completely, slow their breathing, and then plunge into the water. The cold and the breath hold activate the dive reflex, helping them descend to depths that would otherwise be impossible. This reflex is a remnant of our evolutionary past, a connection to the aquatic environments where our distant ancestors once lived. It is a reminder that your body carries ancient adaptations, built over millions of years, designed to help you survive in a variety of conditions. Even in the simple act of holding your breath, you are tapping into a deep biological heritage. Breathing out through your mouth can help cool you down. When you are overheated, one way your body cools itself is through breathing. Panting, the rapid, shallow breathing that dogs use to cool down, works by increasing the evaporation of moisture from the tongue and respiratory tract. While humans do not pant like dogs, breathing out through your mouth can have a similar cooling effect. The warm air you exhale carries heat away from your body, and the evaporation of moisture from your mouth and throat provides additional cooling. This is why, on a hot day or after intense exercise, you might instinctively start breathing through your mouth. Your body is trying to lower its temperature. Combining this with drinking cool water, resting in the shade, and allowing sweat to evaporate from your skin creates a multi-layered cooling system. Your breath is not just about oxygen and carbon dioxide. It is part of your body's temperature regulation, helping you maintain the delicate balance that keeps your cells functioning properly. Every exhale carries away not just waste gas, but also excess heat, keeping you comfortable and safe. Breath-holding competitions test human limits. Around the world, a small community of athletes competes in breath-holding contests, pushing the boundaries of what the human body can endure. These competitions take place in pools or open water, where divers descend to great depths or hold their breath for as long as possible while remaining still. The current world record for static apnea, holding your breath while floating motionless, is over 11 minutes. These feats are achieved through years of training, mental discipline, and physiological adaptation. Competitors practice techniques to lower their heart rate, relax completely, and mentally detach from the growing discomfort as carbon dioxide builds up in their blood. The mind is trained to override the desperate urge to breathe, staying calm even when every instinct screams for air. These competitions are not without risk, and participants are closely monitored for safety. But they reveal the extraordinary potential of the human respiratory system when pushed to its limits. For most of us, such extremes are unnecessary, but knowing that the body is capable of such things is a reminder of its resilience and adaptability. Breath can influence your heart rate variability. Heart rate variability, or HRV, is a measure of the variation in time between each heartbeat. Higher HRV is generally a sign of good health and resilience, indicating that your body can adapt flexibly to stress. One of the most effective ways to increase HRV is through slow, deep breathing. When you breathe in, your heart rate naturally increases slightly. When you breathe out, especially during a long, slow exhale, your heart rate decreases. This natural rhythm is called respiratory sinus arrhythmia. By breathing slowly and deeply, usually around 5 or 6 breaths per minute, you can maximize this effect, increasing your HRV and promoting a state of calm and balance. Athletes, meditators, and people managing stress use this technique to enhance their physical and mental performance. It is a simple practice with profound effects. Your breath and your heartbeat are not separate. They are part of an integrated system, dancing together in a rhythm that reflects your overall well-being. Learning to breathe in ways that support this rhythm is learning to care for your whole body. Ancient yogis believed breath control could extend life. In the ancient traditions of yoga, breath was considered the key to longevity and spiritual enlightenment. Yogis believed that each person was allotted a certain number of breaths in their lifetime, and by slowing the breath, one could extend their life. While this belief is metaphorical rather than literal, there is a kernel of truth in it. Slow, deep breathing is associated with relaxation, reduced stress, and better overall health, all of which can contribute to a longer, healthier life. Practices like pranayama were designed not just to control the breath, but to control the life force, or prana, that the breath was thought to carry. By mastering the breath, yogis believed they could master the mind and body, achieving states of deep meditation and inner peace. Today, Modern science is beginning to validate some of these ancient practices, showing that breathwork can have real, measurable effects on health. The wisdom of the yogis was not superstition. It was a deep understanding of the connection between breath, mind, and body, passed down through generations. Controlled breathing can help manage pain. Pain is a complex experience, influenced not just by physical sensations, but also by your mental and emotional state. Controlled breathing has been shown to help manage pain by activating the body's relaxation response and reducing the perception of discomfort. When you breathe slowly and deeply, focusing your attention on the breath, you can shift your awareness away from the pain and create a sense of calm. This technique is often taught to women during childbirth, where rhythmic breathing helps manage the intensity of contractions. It is also used by people with chronic pain conditions, providing a drug-free tool for relief. The mechanism involves both physiological and psychological factors. Deep breathing reduces muscle tension, lowers stress hormones, and activates the parasympathetic nervous system. At the same time, focusing on the breath gives the mind something to concentrate on, other than the pain, reducing its intensity. Your breath is a resource, always available, that can help you navigate difficult moments with greater ease and resilience. Breathing patterns can reveal emotional states. The way you breathe changes depending on how you feel. When you are anxious or afraid, your breathing becomes rapid and shallow, preparing your body for action. When you are relaxed and content, your breathing slows and deepens. Anger might cause your breath to become forceful and irregular, while sadness can lead to sighing or irregular patterns. These changes are so consistent that researchers can sometimes identify emotional states just by analyzing breathing patterns. This connection works in both directions. Just as emotions affect your breath, changing your breath can influence your emotions. By consciously slowing and deepening your breath, you can calm anxiety. By breathing rhythmically and evenly, you can stabilize your mood. This is why breath work is such a powerful tool for emotional regulation. You cannot always control what you feel, but you can control how you breathe, and in doing so, you can influence your emotional state. Your breath is a language, a form of communication between your body and your mind, and learning to speak it fluently is a skill worth cultivating. The sound of breathing can be soothing. There is something deeply calming about the sound of slow, rhythmic breathing. It is one of the first sounds you heard in the womb, the gentle rhythm of your mother's breath, and it remains soothing throughout life. This is why recordings of breathing sounds, ocean waves, or white noise are often used to help people relax and fall asleep. The rhythmic quality of these sounds mirrors the natural rhythms of the body, creating a sense of safety and comfort. Listening to your own breath can also be meditative. In quiet moments, if you close your eyes and tune in to the sound of air moving in and out of your lungs, you may find it surprisingly peaceful. Some meditation practices use this technique, encouraging practitioners to listen to the breath as a way of anchoring attention in the present moment. The sound of breathing is the sound of life itself, a gentle reminder that you are here, alive, and connected to the rhythms of existence. It is a sound that asks for nothing, simply inviting you to be. Breath awareness can improve focus and concentration. In our modern world, distractions are everywhere. Our attention is pulled in countless directions, making it difficult to focus on any one thing for long. Breath awareness, the practice of paying attention to your breathing, is a powerful tool for training your mind to concentrate. When you focus on your breath, observing each inhalation and exhalation, you are giving your mind a single point of focus. Whenever your attention wanders, which it inevitably will, you gently bring it back to the breath. This practice strengthens the muscle of attention, making it easier to concentrate on tasks and stay present. Studies have shown that regular breath awareness meditation can improve cognitive function, enhance memory, and increase the ability to sustain attention. It is a simple practice that requires no special equipment or setting. You can do it anywhere, at any time, using nothing but the breath you are already taking. In a world that constantly demands your attention, learning to focus on your breath is learning to reclaim your mind, one breath at a time. Your breath is always in the present moment. One of the reasons breath is so central to mindfulness and meditation is that it exists only in the present moment. You cannot breathe in the past or the future. Each breath happens now, in this instant. When your mind is caught up in worries about the future or regrets about the past, turning your attention to your breath brings you back to the present. It is an anchor, a constant reminder that this moment, right now, is all that truly exists. This quality of breath makes it a perfect tool for cultivating presence and awareness. When you focus on your breathing, you are practicing being here, now, fully engaged with the experience of being alive. Over time, this practice can transform your relationship with time itself, helping you let go of anxieties and find peace in the present moment. Your breath is a teacher, always available, always patient, always waiting to remind you that this breath, this moment, is enough. The rhythm of breath mirrors the rhythm of life. Life itself has a rhythm, a cycle of expansion and contraction, activity and rest, giving and receiving. Your breath mirrors this rhythm. When you inhale, you take in, receiving air from the world around you. When you exhale, you give back, releasing what you no longer need. This continuous exchange is a metaphor for the balance required in life. Just as you cannot only inhale without exhaling, you cannot only give without receiving, or only take without giving back. The rhythm of breathing also reflects the larger cycles of life: birth and death, waking and sleeping, growth and decay. Each breath is a miniature lifetime, beginning in a moment of potential, reaching a peak, and then gently fading away. When you pay attention to this rhythm, you connect to something larger than yourself, a universal pattern that runs through all of existence. Your breath is not just a personal act. It is participation in the rhythms of the cosmos, a small part of the vast interconnected web of life. Babies breathe faster than adults. When a baby is born, their tiny lungs work at a much faster pace than yours. A newborn typically breathes between 30 and 60 times per minute, compared to an adult's 12 to 20 breaths per minute. This rapid breathing is necessary because their lungs are small and still developing, so they need to breathe more frequently to get the oxygen their growing bodies require. Their breath is quick and shallow, a rapid flutter of life. As children grow, their breathing rate gradually slows. By the time they reach adolescence, their respiratory rate approaches that of an adult. This slowing reflects the maturation of the lungs and the body's increasing efficiency at extracting oxygen from each breath. Watching a sleeping baby breathe, with their little chest rising and falling so quickly, is a reminder of how much development happens in those early years. Every breath is part of the process of growing, of becoming, of building the body that will carry them through life. Your lungs are lighter than you might think. Despite the vital work they do, your lungs are surprisingly light. The tissue is delicate and spongy, filled with air and tiny blood vessels, but not much solid mass. Each lung weighs only about 1 to 2 pounds. Together, they make up less than 2% of your total body weight. This lightness is essential for their function. If your lungs were dense and heavy, they would require more energy to move, and breathing would be far more exhausting. The spongy texture comes from the millions of alveoli, those tiny air sacs that give the lungs their capacity for gas exchange. When you cut into lung tissue, it feels soft and airy, almost like foam. This delicate structure is protected by the rib cage, a bony cage that shields the lungs from injury while allowing them to expand and contract freely. Your lungs are both fragile and resilient, light as air, yet capable of sustaining you for a lifetime. Oxygen is carried by hemoglobin in your blood. When oxygen enters your bloodstream through the alveoli, it does not simply dissolve in the blood and float around. Instead, it binds to a protein called hemoglobin, found inside your red blood cells. Each hemoglobin molecule can carry up to 4 oxygen molecules, and each red blood cell contains millions of hemoglobin molecules. This makes red blood cells incredibly efficient oxygen transporters, capable of carrying far more oxygen than the blood plasma alone could hold. Hemoglobin also has the remarkable ability to release oxygen precisely where it is needed. In areas of the body where cells are working hard and using up oxygen, the hemoglobin releases its cargo, delivering oxygen to those hungry cells. At the same time, it picks up carbon dioxide, the waste product of cellular respiration, and carries it back to the lungs to be exhaled. This elegant system ensures that oxygen reaches every corner of your body, from your brain to your toes, and that waste is efficiently removed. Your breath is the beginning of this journey, but hemoglobin is the vehicle that makes it all possible. Carbon dioxide is not just waste. While we often think of carbon dioxide as a waste product that needs to be expelled, it actually plays important roles in your body. Carbon dioxide helps regulate the pH of your blood, as we discussed earlier, and it also influences how readily hemoglobin releases oxygen to your tissues. When carbon dioxide levels in your blood rise, it signals hemoglobin to release more oxygen, ensuring that active tissues receive the oxygen they need. Carbon dioxide also affects the dilation of blood vessels. Higher levels of carbon dioxide cause blood vessels to widen, increasing blood flow to certain areas. This is part of why controlled breathing techniques, which can temporarily increase carbon dioxide levels, have various health benefits. Carbon dioxide is not the enemy. It is part of the delicate balance your body maintains, a signal and a regulator, as essential to your physiology as oxygen itself. Your breath manages both, taking in what you need and releasing what you no longer need, maintaining the equilibrium that keeps you alive. The pleura protects and cushions your lungs. Your lungs do not float freely inside your chest. They are enclosed in a double-layered membrane called the pleura. One layer clings to the surface of each lung, and the other lines the inside of your chest wall. Between these two layers is a thin space filled with a small amount of lubricating fluid. This fluid allows the layers to slide smoothly over each other as you breathe, reducing friction and making the expansion and contraction of your lungs effortless. The pleura also creates a slight negative pressure that helps keep your lungs inflated and pressed against the chest wall. Without this pressure, your lungs would collapse inward. Conditions like pneumothorax, where air enters the pleural space, disrupt this pressure and cause the lung to collapse, making breathing difficult. But under normal conditions, the pleura does its job invisibly, cushioning your lungs, protecting them from friction, and ensuring that each breath is smooth and easy. It is one of the many unsung structures in your body, quietly doing essential work. The intercostal muscles help you breathe. Your diaphragm is the primary muscle of breathing, but it does not work alone. Between each of your ribs are small muscles called intercostal muscles. There are 2 sets: the external intercostals, which help lift the ribcage during inhalation, and the internal intercostals, which help lower the ribcage during forceful exhalation. When you take a deep breath, these muscles contract, pulling your ribs upward and outward, expanding the volume of your chest cavity even further. You may not notice these muscles in everyday breathing, but during exercise or deep breathing, their contribution becomes more significant. They work in coordination with your diaphragm, creating the mechanical action that allows your lungs to fill and empty. Even the simple act of breathing involves a complex orchestration of muscles, nerves, and signals, all working together seamlessly. Your body is a marvel of coordination, and every breath is a testament to that intricate design. A single breath contains trillions of molecules. It is almost impossible to comprehend the scale of the invisible world around you. A single breath, just one inhalation, contains roughly 22 sextillion molecules. That is 22 followed by 21 zeros. These molecules are mostly nitrogen and oxygen, with traces of carbon dioxide, water vapor, and other gases. Each molecule is unimaginably small, yet together they make up the air that fills your lungs and sustains your life. At this molecular level, your breath is a swirling, chaotic dance of particles, moving at incredible speeds, colliding with each other and with the walls of your alveoli. Yet, out of this chaos emerges order. Oxygen is absorbed, carbon dioxide is released, and your body receives the energy it needs. The sheer number of molecules in a single breath is a reminder of the vast, hidden complexity of the world. What seems simple on the surface is, at a deeper level, an intricate and awe-inspiring process. Breathing is influenced by your emotions. Your emotions and your breath are deeply intertwined. When you feel anxious, your breath quickens and becomes shallow. When you feel sad, you might sigh deeply. When you feel calm and content, your breath slows and deepens. These changes happen automatically, driven by the autonomic nervous system, but they also reflect the intimate connection between your mind and your body. Your breath is a mirror of your inner state, reflecting your feelings even when you do not speak them aloud. This connection can be used intentionally. If you notice that your breathing has become rapid and shallow, taking a moment to slow it down can help calm your mind. If you are feeling stuck or tense, a few deep sighs can release the tension and help you reset. Your breath is always there, offering feedback about how you are feeling and providing a tool to shift your state. It is a bridge between the conscious and the unconscious, a way to communicate with your own nervous system and find balance. Chest breathing versus belly breathing. There are two main patterns of breathing: chest breathing and belly breathing. Chest breathing, also called thoracic breathing, involves primarily the expansion of the chest and the use of the intercostal muscles. It tends to be shallower and is often associated with stress or anxiety. Belly breathing, also called diaphragmatic or abdominal breathing, involves the downward movement of the diaphragm, causing the belly to rise and fall. This type of breathing is deeper and more efficient, bringing more oxygen into the lungs with each breath. Most people naturally engage in belly breathing when they are relaxed, such as during sleep. But during the day, especially when under stress, many shift to chest breathing. Learning to breathe with your diaphragm, allowing your belly to expand as you inhale, can improve oxygenation, reduce stress, and promote relaxation. It is a simple shift, but it can have profound effects on how you feel. Placing a hand on your belly and feeling it rise with each inhale is a gentle reminder to breathe more deeply and fully. The breath cycle follows a natural pause. If you pay close attention to your breathing, you will notice that there is a natural pause at the end of each exhale, and sometimes at the end of each inhale. These pauses are moments of stillness, brief intervals between the movement of air. In yoga and meditation, these pauses are considered sacred spaces, moments where the breath is suspended and the mind can rest in perfect stillness. Some breathing practices intentionally lengthen these pauses, holding the breath for a few seconds at the top or bottom of the breath cycle. This can deepen the meditative state and enhance the calming effects of the practice. But even in ordinary breathing, these pauses are there. Tiny gaps in the rhythm, moments where nothing is happening and everything is still. They are reminders that rest is built into the very structure of breathing, that even in continuous activity, there is space for stillness. Sleep apnea disrupts the rhythm of breathing during sleep. For some people, the rhythm of breathing is disrupted during sleep by a condition called sleep apnea. In this disorder, the airways become partially or completely blocked, causing breathing to stop and start repeatedly throughout the night. Each time breathing stops, oxygen levels in the blood drop, and the brain briefly wakes the person to reopen the airway. These awakenings are so brief that the person often does not remember them, but they prevent deep, restorative sleep. Sleep apnea can lead to chronic fatigue, poor concentration, and serious health problems like high blood pressure and heart disease. Treatment often involves using a CPAP machine, which delivers a steady stream of air to keep the airways open during sleep. Losing weight, avoiding alcohol before bed, and sleeping on one side can also help. Sleep apnea is a reminder of how essential uninterrupted breathing is to health and well-being. When the breath is compromised, so is everything else. Protecting your airways and ensuring that you can breathe freely, especially during sleep, is vital. Snoring is caused by vibrations in the throat. Snoring is a common nighttime occurrence, and it happens when the flow of air through the mouth and nose is partially obstructed during sleep. As you sleep, the muscles in your throat relax, and sometimes the tissues become so relaxed that they partially block the airway. When you breathe, the air has to squeeze through this narrowed passage, causing the tissues to vibrate. These vibrations create the sound we know as snoring. Snoring can be harmless, a minor annoyance to a sleeping partner, or it can be a sign of sleep apnea, especially if it is loud and accompanied by pauses in breathing. Factors that increase snoring include sleeping on your back, being overweight, drinking alcohol before bed, and nasal congestion. While snoring itself is not always a cause for concern, it is worth paying attention to, especially if it disrupts sleep or is accompanied by other symptoms. Your breath during sleep should be smooth and unobstructed, a quiet rhythm that allows your body to rest and repair. Cold air can make your lungs feel tight. Breathing in very cold air can cause a sensation of tightness or discomfort in your chest. This happens because cold air can irritate the airways, causing them to narrow slightly in a protective response. For most people, this is a mild and temporary sensation that goes away once you warm up. But for people with asthma or other respiratory conditions, cold air can trigger more serious symptoms, including wheezing and shortness of breath. Wearing a scarf over your mouth and nose in cold weather can help warm and humidify the air before it reaches your lungs, reducing irritation. Breathing through your nose also helps, as the nasal passages naturally warm and moisten the air. Your lungs prefer air that is warm and humid, close to body temperature. When the air is too cold or too dry, your body has to work a little harder to condition it before it reaches the delicate tissues inside your lungs. It is a small example of the constant adjustments your respiratory system makes to protect itself. Humidity affects how your lungs feel. The amount of moisture in the air also affects your breathing. Dry air can irritate your respiratory tract, making your throat feel scratchy and your nose dry. It can also cause the mucus in your airways to become thicker, making it harder to clear. This is why indoor heating during winter, which dries out the air, can make respiratory symptoms worse. Using a humidifier can help by adding moisture back into the air, soothing irritated tissues and making breathing more comfortable. On the other hand, air that is too humid, especially when combined with heat, can also make breathing feel labored. High humidity makes it harder for sweat to evaporate, which interferes with your body's ability to cool itself, and it can make the air feel heavy. For people with asthma or other lung conditions, both extremes can be challenging. The ideal humidity for respiratory comfort is generally between 30 and 50%. Your lungs are sensitive to the quality of the air you breathe, and maintaining a comfortable environment can make a noticeable difference in how easily you breathe. Altitude sickness results from low oxygen levels. When you travel to high altitudes, the air pressure drops, and there is less oxygen available in each breath. If your body does not have time to adapt, you can develop altitude sickness, which includes symptoms like headache, nausea, dizziness, and shortness of breath. Mild altitude sickness is common and usually resolves on its own as your body adjusts, but severe cases can be life-threatening, requiring immediate descent to lower altitudes. To prevent altitude sickness, it is important to ascend gradually, giving your body time to acclimatize. Staying hydrated, avoiding alcohol, and eating a balanced diet also help. Over time, your body will produce more red blood cells to carry oxygen more efficiently, and your breathing rate will increase to bring in more air. Mountaineers who climb to extreme altitudes, like those on Mount Everest, must spend weeks acclimatizing, allowing their bodies to adapt to the thin air. Altitude sickness is a powerful reminder of how dependent your body is on a steady supply of oxygen, and how remarkable its ability to adapt can be. Your lungs produce a surfactant to keep alveoli open. Inside your alveoli, there is a special substance called surfactant, a mixture of lipids and proteins that coats the inner surface of these tiny air sacs. Surfactant reduces surface tension, preventing the alveoli from collapsing when you exhale. Without surfactant, the alveoli would stick together like wet balloons, making it nearly impossible to breathe. This is particularly important for premature babies, whose lungs have not yet produced enough surfactant. Without it, their alveoli collapse, and breathing becomes a struggle. Surfactant is continuously produced by specialized cells in the lungs, ensuring that your alveoli remain open and functional throughout your life. It is one of the many invisible substances your body creates to maintain health and function. The existence of surfactant is a testament to the intricate design of your lungs, where even the smallest details have been perfected over millions of years of evolution. Every breath you take depends on this thin layer of molecules, working silently to keep your lungs inflated and ready. The lungs can partially regenerate after quitting smoking. One of the most hopeful messages for smokers is that the lungs have a significant capacity to heal after quitting. Within just a few days of quitting smoking, the cilia in your airways begin to recover, starting to clear mucus and debris more effectively. Within weeks, lung function improves, and you may notice that breathing becomes easier. Over months and years, inflammation decreases, and the risk of infections drops. Even some of the damage to the airways can be partially reversed. While severe damage like emphysema is permanent, quitting smoking at any age brings immediate and long-term benefits. The earlier you quit, the more your lungs can recover, but even quitting later in life significantly improves health and quality of life. The resilience of the lungs, their ability to heal and adapt, is a powerful reminder that it is never too late to make positive changes. Your lungs want to heal. They are designed to repair themselves. All they need is the opportunity. Exercise strengthens your respiratory muscles. Just as lifting weights strengthens your arm muscles, exercise strengthens the muscles involved in breathing. When you engage in aerobic activities like running, swimming, or cycling, your breathing rate increases, and your respiratory muscles work harder. Over time, this strengthens the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles, making them more efficient. A stronger respiratory system means you can breathe more easily during physical activity and even at rest. Exercise also improves the efficiency of gas exchange in your lungs and increases your overall lung capacity. For people with chronic lung conditions, pulmonary rehabilitation programs that include exercise can significantly improve symptoms and quality of life. Even gentle activities like walking or yoga can have benefits. The key is consistency. Regular exercise trains your lungs just as it trains your heart and muscles, building strength and endurance. Your breath supports your movement, and your movement strengthens your breath. It is a positive cycle, each reinforcing the other. Breathing techniques are used in childbirth. During labor, controlled breathing techniques are often taught to help manage pain and stay calm. Focused, rhythmic breathing provides a point of concentration, helping to distract from contractions and reduce the perception of pain. It also ensures that both the mother and baby receive a steady supply of oxygen during the intense physical work of labor. Different patterns of breathing are used at different stages, from slow, deep breaths early on to shorter, more rapid breaths during active labor. These techniques are not just about managing pain. They also help activate the relaxation response, lowering stress hormones and creating a sense of calm and control. Many women find that mastering their breath during childbirth gives them a sense of empowerment, a tool they can use to navigate one of the most challenging physical experiences of their lives. The breath becomes a partner in the process, a constant companion that carries them through each wave of labor. It is one of the most profound examples of how breath can support us in moments of intensity and transformation. Vocal training improves breath control. Singers, actors, and public speakers all train their breath control as part of their craft. The ability to take a deep breath, release it slowly and evenly, and sustain sound for long periods requires strong respiratory muscles and precise control. Vocal coaches teach techniques for breathing from the diaphragm, managing airflow, and using breath to support and project the voice. These techniques can take years to master, but they result in a voice that is strong, clear, and expressive. Even if you are not a performer, learning basic breath control can improve your speaking voice and reduce vocal strain. It can also help with public speaking anxiety, as controlled breathing calms the nervous system and steadies the voice. Your breath is the foundation of your voice, the power source that allows you to communicate. When you learn to control your breath, you gain control over one of your most important tools for connecting with others. Every word you speak is carried on a breath, and mastering that breath is mastering your own expression. Breathing through one nostril at a time. An interesting fact about your nose is that you typically breathe more through one nostril than the other at any given time, and this dominance switches every few hours. This is called the nasal cycle, and it is controlled by the autonomic nervous system. The tissues inside one nostril swell slightly, reducing airflow, while the other nostril opens up. This cycle ensures that your nose stays healthy, giving each side time to rest and recover. In yoga, there is a practice called alternate nostril breathing, where you consciously breathe through one nostril at a time. This is believed to balance the body and mind, calming the nervous system and promoting a sense of equilibrium. Whether or not you practice this technique, the natural nasal cycle is another example of the subtle, automatic processes your body uses to maintain balance. Your breath is constantly being regulated, adjusted, and optimized without you ever having to think about it. The respiratory system connects to your circulatory system. Your respiratory and circulatory systems are intimately connected, working together to deliver oxygen to every cell in your body. Your lungs bring oxygen into your blood, and your heart pumps that oxygenated blood throughout your body. At the same time, your blood carries carbon dioxide back to your lungs to be exhaled. This partnership is essential for survival. If either system fails, the other cannot function. The connection is so close that problems in one system often affect the other. Heart disease can make breathing difficult, and lung disease can strain the heart. This is why doctors often evaluate both systems together when assessing overall health. Your breath and your heartbeat are two rhythms that sustain you, working in harmony, each depending on the other. When you breathe deeply and your heart beats steadily, you can feel this partnership, the quiet collaboration of two vital systems keeping you alive. Breathing retraining can help chronic conditions. For people with chronic respiratory conditions like asthma or COPD, breathing retraining can be a valuable tool. Techniques like pursed lip breathing, where you inhale through your nose and exhale slowly through pursed lips, help keep airways open and make breathing more efficient. Diaphragmatic breathing, as mentioned earlier, strengthens the diaphragm and reduces the work of breathing. These techniques do not cure the underlying condition, but they can reduce symptoms and improve quality of life. Pulmonary rehabilitation programs often include breathing retraining as a core component, teaching patients how to use their lungs more effectively and manage shortness of breath. Even for people without chronic conditions, learning to breathe more efficiently can enhance physical performance and reduce fatigue. Your breath is trainable, adaptable, and responsive to practice. With attention and effort, you can improve how you breathe, bringing more ease and comfort into your daily life. The first breath is a moment of transformation. The moment a baby is born and takes their first breath is one of the most miraculous transformations in all of biology. In the womb, the baby's lungs were filled with fluid, and oxygen came through the umbilical cord. But the instant the baby is born, they must switch to breathing air. That first breath is a monumental effort. The baby's diaphragm contracts powerfully, pulling air into the lungs and pushing out the fluid that filled them. The airways and alveoli open for the first time, and oxygen begins to flow into the bloodstream. This transition happens within seconds, and it is often announced by a cry, the sound of air rushing through newly opened vocal cords. That first cry is a celebration, a signal that the lungs are working and the baby is breathing on their own. From that moment on, the rhythm of breathing continues, day and night, sustaining life. Every breath you take is a continuation of that first breath, the one that marked your arrival into the world. Your lungs are resilient and adaptable. Throughout this journey, we have explored the many ways your lungs work, the challenges they face, and the remarkable things they can do. But perhaps the most important thing to understand is that your lungs are resilient. They can adapt to altitude, recover from illness, heal from injury, and respond to training. They have carried you through every moment of your life, from your first breath to this very moment, and they will continue to do so. Taking care of your lungs, breathing deeply and mindfully, protecting them from harm, these are acts of gratitude for the life they give you. Your lungs are not just organs. They are the interface between you and the world, the place where you take in what you need and release what you no longer need. They are the rhythm that underlies your existence, the quiet, faithful pulse that keeps you alive. And they are always there, always working, always breathing, carrying you forward, one breath at a time. Deep breathing before sleep promotes relaxation. As you prepare for sleep each night, taking a few moments to breathe deeply can signal to your body that it is time to rest. Deep, slow breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which governs relaxation and recovery. Your heart rate slows, your blood pressure drops, and tension melts from your muscles. This simple practice creates the ideal internal environment for falling asleep, shifting your body from the alertness of day to the restfulness of night. Some people use specific breathing patterns before bed, like the 478 technique. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, and exhale for 8. Others simply breathe slowly and naturally, focusing on the sensation of air moving in and out. The exact method matters less than the intention. By giving attention to your breath before sleep, you are honoring the transition from waking to dreaming, from activity to stillness. Your breath is the bridge that carries you into sleep, gently and safely. Your breathing slows and deepens during sleep. Once you fall asleep, your breathing changes. It becomes slower, deeper, and more regular. During deep sleep, your breathing reaches its slowest and most rhythmic pace, reflecting the profound relaxation of your body and mind. This slow, steady rhythm allows your body to focus on repair and restoration, healing tissues, consolidating memories, and preparing you for the day ahead. Your lungs continue their work even as you dream, quietly sustaining you through the night. Interestingly, during REM sleep, the stage of sleep when most dreaming occurs, your breathing can become more irregular, sometimes rapid and shallow. This reflects the intense brain activity happening during dreams, but through most of the night, your breath maintains a calm, steady rhythm, a gentle lullaby that rocks you through the cycles of sleep. Even in unconsciousness, your breath is there, a faithful companion watching over you. The breath connects you to every living being. Every creature on earth that breathes shares something fundamental with you. From the smallest mouse to the largest whale, from birds soaring through the sky to fish extracting oxygen from water, all living things engage in some form of respiration. This shared need for oxygen and the expulsion of carbon dioxide connects all aerobic life in a vast, invisible web. The air you breathe has been breathed by countless others before you, and it will be breathed by countless others after. This connection extends through time as well as space. The oxygen you inhale today was produced by plants and algae, the same kinds of organisms that have been producing oxygen for billions of years. In a very real sense, you are breathing the same air that your ancestors breathed, the same air that has filled the lungs of every human who has ever lived. Your breath ties you to the past, to the present, and to the future, linking you to all of life in an unbroken chain. Ancient wisdom and modern science converge on breath. For thousands of years, spiritual traditions around the world have recognized the importance of breath. Yogis in India, Taoist monks in China, Buddhist meditators in Tibet, and indigenous healers across continents all developed practices centered on breathing. They understood intuitively what modern science is now confirming, that the breath is a powerful tool for influencing physical health, mental clarity, and emotional balance. These ancient practices were not superstition or mysticism. They were sophisticated explorations of human physiology, passed down through generations. Today, researchers are using advanced technology to study what these traditions have known for millennia. They are measuring changes in brain waves during breathwork, tracking stress hormones, and documenting improvements in health and well-being. The convergence of ancient wisdom and modern science is revealing that the breath is perhaps the most accessible and powerful tool we have for self-regulation and healing. Your ancestors knew this, and now you do too. The breath is a gift, a resource, a teacher, always available, always waiting. Every breath is a choice to continue living. In a profound sense, every breath you take is a choice. Most of the time, this choice is made unconsciously by your brain stem, which monitors your body's needs and adjusts your breathing automatically. But you can also choose consciously to breathe more deeply, more slowly, more intentionally. In doing so, you are choosing to nourish yourself, to calm yourself, to be present with yourself. Each breath is an affirmation of life, a quiet yes to existence. This perspective can transform your relationship with breathing. Instead of taking it for granted, you can approach each breath with gratitude and awareness. You can recognize that breathing is not just something your body does automatically, but something you are actively participating in, moment by moment. When life feels overwhelming or difficult, returning to the breath is returning to that fundamental choice, to keep going, to keep living, one breath at a time. Your breath is your anchor, your constant, your reminder that you are here, alive, and capable of choosing how you meet each moment. Breath is the song of your body. If your body were to sing, its song would be the rhythm of your breath. It is a melody that has played since the moment you were born, a slow, steady rhythm that underlies every other rhythm in your body. Your heartbeat syncs with it, your brain waves respond to it, and your movements flow from it. Breathing is the fundamental rhythm of life, the baseline from which all other rhythms emerge. Musicians understand rhythm instinctively, how it creates structure and flow, how it can calm or energize, how it holds space for both sound and silence. Your breath is the same. It creates the structure for your day, the flow of your activities, the alternation between effort and rest. When you pay attention to this rhythm, when you consciously slow it or deepen it, you are conducting your body's orchestra, bringing harmony to the many systems that work together to keep you alive. Your breath is music, and you are both the composer and the listener. Breathing connects the body and mind. One of the most remarkable things about breathing is that it exists at the intersection of the voluntary and involuntary. Most of the time, you breathe automatically, without thinking about it. But at any moment, you can take control, choosing how fast or slow, how deep or shallow to breathe. This unique quality makes breath a bridge between the conscious and unconscious, between mind and body, between thought and feeling. This is why breath is so central to practices like meditation and yoga. By focusing on the breath, you are training your mind to be present, to observe without judgment, to remain grounded in the body. And by consciously changing your breath, you can influence processes that are normally automatic: your heart rate, your stress response, your emotional state. The breath is a tool for integration, a way to bring together the many parts of yourself into a harmonious whole. When you breathe with awareness, you are practicing the art of being fully human. The breath is always available to you. No matter where you are, no matter what is happening, your breath is always with you. You cannot leave it behind or lose it. It requires no equipment, no special circumstances, no preparation. It is the most portable, accessible tool you have for managing stress, finding calm, and centering yourself. In moments of anxiety or fear, you can turn to your breath. In moments of joy or excitement, you can breathe deeply to savor the feeling. In moments of boredom or restlessness, you can use your breath to ground yourself in the present. This availability is a gift. It means that you are never without a resource for coping with whatever life brings. When everything else feels uncertain or out of control, you can always return to your breath, feeling the simple, reliable sensation of air moving in and out of your lungs. It is a constant in a world of change, a steady presence that asks nothing of you except attention. Your breath is always there, patiently waiting, ready to support you whenever you need it. Breathing is an act of receiving and releasing. With each inhale, you receive. You take in air, oxygen, energy, the gift of life itself. With each exhale, you release. You let go of carbon dioxide, tension, whatever you no longer need. This rhythm of receiving and releasing is a microcosm of life itself. We are constantly taking in experiences, emotions, information, and then letting them go, making space for what comes next. Learning to breathe well is learning to receive fully and release fully, without clinging or resisting. This rhythm can be a meditation in itself. As you breathe in, you can imagine receiving all the goodness the world has to offer: love, peace, health, joy. As you breathe out, you can imagine releasing all that no longer serves you: worry, anger, pain, fear. The breath becomes a cleansing process, a way of continuously renewing yourself. Each cycle is an opportunity to start fresh, to let go of the past and open to the present. Your breath teaches you the art of non-attachment, the wisdom of flowing with life rather than fighting against it. The pause between breaths is sacred. In the spaces between your breaths, there is a stillness. At the end of an exhale, before the next inhale begins, there is a moment of absolute quiet. In that pause, nothing is happening. The air is still. The body is suspended. It is a moment of pure being, free from doing, free from striving, free from movement. These pauses are brief, often less than a second, but they are profound. They are glimpses of the silence that underlies all activity, the emptiness from which everything arises. In meditation, practitioners sometimes focus on these pauses, extending them slightly, resting in the stillness. It is in these moments that the mind can touch something deeper, a sense of peace that is always present beneath the surface of daily life. You do not have to be a meditator to experience this. Simply by noticing the pause at the end of your exhale, you can taste that stillness, that quiet place within you. It is always there, waiting between your breaths, a sanctuary you can return to at any time. Your breath has carried you through everything. Take a moment to reflect on all that your breath has carried you through. Every joy, every sorrow, every challenge, every triumph. Your breath was there for your first day of school, your first love, your first heartbreak. It was there during moments of laughter and moments of tears. It has sustained you through illness and health, through times of abundance and times of scarcity. It has never left you, never abandoned you, never stopped working on your behalf. Your breath has been your most loyal companion, more constant than any friend or family member, present in every single moment of your life. It has asked nothing in return. No recognition, no gratitude, no acknowledgement. It has simply done its work, quietly and faithfully, breath after breath, day after day, year after year. When you pause to consider this, it is difficult not to feel a sense of wonder and gratitude. Your breath has been the thread that has woven through your entire existence, holding it all together, keeping you alive and present for every precious moment. Breathing is a practice of presence. At its core, breathing is an exercise in being present. You cannot breathe in the past or the future. Each breath happens now, in this moment. When you pay attention to your breath, you are anchoring yourself in the present, pulling your awareness away from regrets about what has been or worries about what will be. You are simply here, breathing, alive, in this moment. This is the essence of mindfulness, and it is available to you with every breath. In a world that constantly pulls your attention in 1,000 directions, the breath is a refuge. It is a way to come home to yourself, to reconnect with the simple fact of your existence. When your mind is racing or your emotions are turbulent, the breath is a steady anchor, something solid and reliable to hold on to. By returning again and again to the breath, you are practicing the art of presence, training yourself to live more fully in each moment. This practice does not require hours of meditation or special training. It only requires a willingness to notice, to pay attention, to breathe. The breath as a teacher. If you listen, your breath can teach you many things. It can teach you about patience, as you learn to slow and deepen each breath. It can teach you about letting go, as you practice exhaling fully and releasing what you no longer need. It can teach you about acceptance, as you learn to work with your breath as it is, rather than forcing it to be different. And it can teach you about resilience, as you notice how your breath always returns to its natural rhythm, no matter what disrupts it. Your breath is a wise teacher, one that offers lessons without words. It shows you that life is cyclical, that every inhale is followed by an exhale, that every beginning contains an ending. It reminds you that you are part of something larger than yourself, connected to the air around you and to every other breathing being. And it whispers the most important lesson of all, that you are alive, here, now, in this moment. Everything else may change, but your breath remains, a constant reminder of the gift of life. Your breath reflects the universe. There is a beautiful symmetry in breathing that mirrors the larger patterns of the universe. You breathe in and out, the tides rise and fall, the moon waxes and wanes, the seasons turn from spring to winter and back again. These are all expressions of the same principle: expansion and contraction, receiving and releasing, growth and rest. Your breath is a small, personal reflection of these cosmic rhythms, a reminder that you are not separate from the universe, but an integral part of it. Ancient philosophers and mystics have long recognized this connection, seeing in the breath a microcosm of the macrocosm, a link between the individual and the infinite. When you breathe consciously, you are not just filling your lungs with air, you are participating in the fundamental rhythm of existence, the pulse that animates all of life. Your breath is a sacred act, a moment-by-moment affirmation of your place in the cosmos. You are not apart from the universe. You are breathing with it, moving with it, living as an expression of its vast, mysterious unfolding. Each breath is unique and unrepeatable. No two breaths are exactly the same. Each one is shaped by countless factors: the position of your body, the state of your mind, the quality of the air, the needs of your cells. Each breath is a unique event, a singular moment in time that will never occur again in exactly the same way. When you pay attention to this, breathing becomes less ordinary and more miraculous. You are not just repeating a mechanical action. You are participating in a series of one-of-a-kind moments, each breath a small poem written by your body. This perspective can bring a sense of freshness and wonder to the simple act of breathing. Instead of taking it for granted, you can appreciate each breath as something new, something worthy of attention. This is the beginner's mind that Zen practitioners speak of, seeing everything as if for the first time, with curiosity and openness. When you breathe with this awareness, even the most ordinary moment becomes infused with meaning. Each breath is a gift, and each one is different from the last. The breath is a path to self-knowledge. By observing your breath, you can learn a great deal about yourself. You can notice patterns. Do you tend to hold your breath when concentrating? Do you breathe shallowly when anxious? Do you sigh frequently when tired or stressed? These patterns are clues to your inner state, signposts that point to areas where you might need more awareness or care. Your breath is always giving you information, if you take the time to listen. This kind of self-observation is not about judgment or criticism. It is about curiosity and compassion, gently noticing what is happening, without trying to fix or change it. Over time, this awareness can lead to subtle shifts. Simply by noticing that you are holding your breath, you may find yourself breathing more freely. By observing shallow breathing, you may naturally deepen your breath. The act of observation itself can be transformative. Your breath is not just a physical function. It is a mirror, reflecting your inner world and offering insights into who you are and how you move through life. Breathing together creates connection. There is something powerful about breathing in sync with others. In group meditation, yoga classes, or choir practice, when everyone breathes together, a sense of unity emerges. Individual breaths merge into a collective rhythm, and the boundaries between self and other begin to soften. This shared breathing creates a feeling of connection and belonging, a reminder that we are not isolated individuals but part of a larger whole. Even outside of formal settings, you can experience this connection. Sitting quietly with a loved one and noticing the rise and fall of their breath, or breathing in rhythm with a sleeping child, creates an intimate bond, a silent communication that needs no words. Breathing together is a primal form of connection, one that transcends language and culture. It is a way of being with others that is deeply human, a recognition that we are all breathing the same air, sharing the same life force, moving through the world together, one breath at a time. The breath carries prayers and intentions. In many spiritual traditions, the breath is used as a vehicle for prayer or intention. Words or phrases are synchronized with the breath, inhaling one phrase and exhaling another. For example, breathing in "I am" and breathing out "at peace." This practice combines the physical act of breathing with the mental focus on a desired state, creating a powerful tool for transformation. The breath becomes a carrier wave, bringing your intention into the body and anchoring it in the present moment. You do not need to be religious to use this technique. It can be as simple as choosing a word or phrase that resonates with you. Love, gratitude, calm, and silently repeating it with each breath. Over time, this practice can shift your mental and emotional state, rewiring your nervous system toward the qualities you are cultivating. Your breath is not just air, it is energy, intention, and will. When you breathe with purpose, you are shaping your inner world, creating the conditions for the life you want to live. Breathing is an act of trust. Every time you exhale, you are letting go of air, trusting that the next inhale will come. You release what you have been holding on to, creating space for something new. This is an act of trust, a surrender to the rhythm of life. You do not cling to the air in your lungs, hoarding it out of fear that there will not be enough. You let it go, and naturally, effortlessly, the next breath arrives. This trust is a lesson that extends far beyond breathing. Life asks us to let go again and again, to release what has passed, and trust that what we need will come. Breathing teaches us this lesson thousands of times a day, building a deep, embodied understanding that we can trust the flow of life. When you breathe consciously, you are practicing this trust, learning to let go with grace and to receive with gratitude. Your breath is a teacher of surrender, showing you that holding on is not necessary, that letting go is safe, that the next breath will always come. The breath is a celebration of life. Every breath is a small celebration. It is an affirmation that you are alive, that your body is working, that you have another moment to experience the world. When you breathe consciously, with awareness and appreciation, breathing becomes a joyful act, a way of honoring the miracle of existence. You are here. You are breathing. You are alive. What could be more worthy of celebration than that? This perspective can transform even the most mundane moments. Waiting in line, sitting in traffic, doing chores, all of these become opportunities to celebrate life by simply breathing and being present. You do not need special circumstances or peak experiences to feel joy. The breath reminds you that joy is always available, woven into the fabric of ordinary existence. Each inhale is a gift, each exhale a release, and together they create the rhythm of a life well lived. Your breath is a celebration, a quiet, constant party happening inside you, every moment of every day. And so, dear listener, we rest. And so, dear listener, our journey through the world of breath comes to a gentle close. From the first breath of a newborn to the deep, slow breathing of sleep, we have explored the many wonders of your lungs and the air that fills them. We have seen how your breath connects you to the world, to others, to yourself, and to the vast rhythms of the universe. We have learned that breathing is not just a mechanical process, but a sacred act, a bridge between body and mind, a teacher, a healer, and a constant companion. As you lie here now, feeling the rise and fall of your chest, the gentle flow of air in and out, let yourself simply be with your breath. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go. Just breathe. Feel the cool air entering your nose, the expansion of your lungs, the pause, and then the warm air flowing out. Each breath is perfect, just as it is. Each breath is carrying you deeper into relaxation, deeper into rest, deeper into the peace that is always available within you. Your breath carries you into sleep. Your breath is a lullaby, a gentle rhythm that rocks you towards sleep. With each exhale, feel yourself letting go a little more, letting go of the day, of any worries or concerns, of anything that no longer serves you. With each inhale, feel yourself receiving peace, calm, rest, and safety. You are held by your breath, cradled in its gentle rhythm, carried softly toward the welcoming arms of sleep. There is nothing to figure out, nothing to solve, nothing to do. Your breath will continue, whether you think about it or not. It will keep working, keep sustaining you, keep watching over you as you drift off. You can trust it completely. As your eyes grow heavy and your body sinks deeper into the bed, your breath becomes slower, softer, quieter. It is guiding you now, leading you down into the deep restorative sleep your body craves. Rest in the rhythm of breathing. Imagine yourself floating on gentle waves, rising and falling with the rhythm of your breath. Each inhale lifts you gently. Each exhale carries you softly down. There is no effort, no struggle, just the easy rise and fall, the natural ebb and flow. You are safe. You are supported. You are breathing. And that is enough. As you sink deeper, your breath becomes the only thing that matters. Everything else fades away. The thoughts, the plans, the memories. Only the breath remains, a soft, steady pulse, a whisper of air, a quiet song, and in this rhythm, you find perfect peace. Your breath has carried you through your entire life, and now it is carrying you into sleep, into rest, into the deep, healing darkness, where your body and mind can renew themselves. Let go and breathe. Let go of this day. Let go of everything that happened, everything you said or did not say, everything you wish had been different. It is over now, and you can release it with your exhale. Let it go. And as you inhale, receive the gift of this moment, the gift of rest, the gift of breath. You are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you need to do. You are breathing, and that is everything. Your lungs are at peace. Your body is relaxed. Your mind is quiet. There is only breath, only this gentle in and out, only the soft whisper of air moving through you. You are breathing. You are resting. You are safe. And as you continue to breathe, you drift deeper and deeper, your consciousness gently fading, your awareness softening, until there is only sleep, only dreams, only rest. Final words as you drift away. If you happen to still be awake, you can go ahead and continue resting here, or perhaps drift off to sleep whenever you are ready. But if your eyes are closed, if your breathing has slowed, if sleep is pulling you down into its warm embrace, then let go completely. Release yourself into sleep. Trust your breath to continue its work without you. Trust your body to rest and heal. Trust that when you wake, you will feel refreshed and renewed. Thank you for spending this time with your breath, for honoring it, for learning about it, for appreciating the quiet miracle it represents. Your breath is always with you, a faithful friend, a wise teacher, a sacred gift. And now, as it carries you into sleep, know that it will be there when you wake, ready to greet you with another day, another gift, another breath. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and drift into the vast, peaceful silence where stars themselves rest. Good night.